So the Index has been around for a while now, and due to the pandemic and the logistical problems that it brought with it, I only received mine a few months ago. And as we know, the headset is absolutely fantastic, it's great. But the fact is the industry is catching up, most notably from Facebook and Oculus. Now, all props of course to Facebook and Oculus for basically almost being solely responsible for bringing VR, this new wonderful platform, to the masses. But I'm looking at Valve today, and we're looking at what they need to do to stay ahead of the curve and stay at the forefront of VR gaming technology. In other words, what does Valve need to put in their Index 2 to stay the undisputed champions of VR gaming? So, without further ado, here are 3 things that I believe the Valve Index 2 needs to stay ahead. Now, to begin with, let's look at something that the Valve Index doesn't have at all, which other headsets do, and that is finger tracking. Now, the Index currently uses these fantastic Knuckles controllers, which, for the technology that they're using to track your fingers, they do a remarkably good job. However, after testing the Oculus Quest 2, I was actually really surprised at just how well it tracks your fingers, just using the cameras on board and the sensors on board the headset itself. I was pretty amazed. Not having controllers strapped to your hands is actually much more immersive than you might think. Until you get rid of those controllers, there's a lot of things that the Valve Index is missing out on, really. Especially in the more slow-paced, comforting kind of games, and in those kind of top-down, godlike games, when just picking up and pinching things and moving them, when that's the main gameplay, that works so well. This isn't particularly far-fetched for Valve to implement into the Index 2. I mean, currently, the Index actually has cameras on the front of it anyway. So, it's not a big challenge, I think, to implement it. The main problem is software, of course, and I think that's where Facebook and Oculus are really doing well, and I think that's the main part. If they can get the software going really well with the hand tracking using the sensors on the headset, I think that's what will really set it apart, and that's what Facebook are doing very well with at the moment. Lenses. Now, this is kind of a similar topic to resolution, but I don't think, as of yet, resolution is something we need more of. I think everyone can agree that the VR space is looking for more games just like Half-Life Alyx. These are the sort of games which are big open world environments with all sorts of going on, really high detail. These are the sort of things you can get really immersed in. However, these VR games are still very challenging to run, even on today's high-end hardware. So instead of chasing even more pixels, I think Valve should focus on improving the quality of their lenses. Now, if any of you have played with the Valve Index for any lengthy period of time, you'll notice that there, especially in dark areas, with just a single bright image on a dark background, you'll notice there's a whole load of glaring, which is actually pretty bad. And there's also a big drop-off in sharpness towards the edges of the frame, probably from about sort of 50% outwards. Now, understandably, Valve is not a company that focuses on optics. They're a games company. They run Steam. They're not nothing to do with optics whatsoever. And as we know, lenses and all kinds of optics cost a lot of money. You'll know this if you're big into photography or video. You'll know that lenses are just an incredible amount of money because they're very difficult to make. The price of perfection in optical performance is a very difficult and expensive thing to do. If Valve could implement a way to swap out lenses, then people could buy third-party ones or just higher quality ones on top of the stock ones that come with the headset. I'd love to see Valve partner up with some really high quality, top of the market optics manufacturers to really bring the best optical experience to the lenses as possible. So if anyone wants to buy these optics for a high quality experience, then they can buy them for a price, of course, because it's expensive. So it makes sense for this to be an optional thing you can buy after the fact, instead of something that comes with the headset itself, because that's just going to drive the stock price of the headset way up. But if there is that option to get high quality lenses, then that would help a lot, and it would fix a lot of the problems that at least the current Valve Index has. So I think only once this optical quality is addressed, then they can start pushing for more pixels, because then we can actually see the pixels that are being added. Instead of it just being a bit of a blurry mess, which it isn't to begin with. It isn't at the moment, especially around the center. It's absolutely fine, and you can see the pixels if you look really close. But yeah, it's really just focusing on those outer edges and the glaring, as I said. Once they fix that, that's great. And now for the last one, and probably the most obvious, wireless. Once you get rid of the wires, it is such a game changer. Having this tether you can always feel is always something that's just going to pull you back to reality, which of course is a massive bummer when it comes to getting yourself immersed in games. This is especially problematic with fast-paced shooters, anything where you're turning and shooting, something that you're not always, reverting back to your original state. You're always going to be feeling that tether on your leg, or however it's, routing back to your computer. It's always something you're going to feel. So that's why wireless needs to be implemented in some way. I don't think the Valve Index is something that people want for portable gaming. I think it's always something that's going to stay in a dedicated room with a proper computer. That's where the market is for the Valve Index. So I don't think there's any need to, I'm not saying there needs to be a built-in computer like the Quest to run games on the Index. I think Oculus are focusing on that, and they've done a really, really good job. I think that that's what the Index needs to focus on. It's just stay-at-home gaming, like it currently is. Now, of course, there are a few hurdles to go through when it comes to getting wireless going. One of them is the connectivity, making sure it's reliable, it doesn't drop out. And the other one is, of course, powering the headset wirelessly, or just powering the headset locally on the headset and making that last a long time, and also keeping the weight down. I think if you've worn the Index, you'll know that this one's probably the most comfortable headset to wear out of the box. And the weight is distributed very, very well currently. However, adding batteries really could start to weigh the headset down and ruin the weight distribution of the headset. So something I would be happy to wear would be something like a waistband with a belt with a built-in battery on that, with a wire going up the back to the headset itself. That would be the way to keep the weight of the headset down while trying to add battery power to the whole system. Of course, having that, it does open up a few possibilities as well. If you've got a waistband on, that could double up as a sensor. Of course, when it comes to full body tracking, the weight is actually a very important point to put a sensor on. So that could help full body tracking, a way to have that in the box, essentially. It could also be used in some way to implement reloading in shooters. Of course, going down to your waist to pick up ammunition, I wonder if that could be, having some sort of gameplay built into that, having something built into the waistband. An idea, I don't know. It's all something that, you could add some functionality to. Of course, that also means that you don't have to wear the headsets wirelessly. You can take off the waistband, and then you could use it wired as usual. Say if you're sitting down at the computer and you're doing something that's at your desk with a steering wheel or with a joystick, then you can always be wired in and you're not moving around, so then you have infinite battery life. You're not having battery life, but you know what I mean. So there you have it. That's my 3 things that I think the Valve Index 2 needs to have to be able to stay top dog in the VR gaming industry. I'm interested in what you all think, if you agree, or if you have any more needs that you think the Valve Index 2 should have to help you, and what you would value more than those 3 things. I'm interested in what you have to say. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below, and please consider subscribing. It really, really helps. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.